Welcome back, guys, to DeFi Top Signal. I'm your host, Abs. My boy here, Drake, is also the co-host. Drake, what do you make of this current market? This is 28,000 BTC. ETH is at a little under 1,900. What gives?
Yo, what's up, guys? All right, so we're getting rugged by meme coins right now, and then Jared from Subway.eth is wrecking us all. He's basically sandwiching every single transaction. But yeah, that's all. Nothing crazy. It's
When
fun.
you say sandwiching, right? Explain that further to see, because folks, might not know what that is.
All right, so what a sandwich is basically he's front running transactions. So let's say, for example, you're going on Uniswap and you see one of these meme coins like Pepe and you want to ape in and you don't want to, like, I don't know, a transaction go through and you're like, oh snap, it's going to fail because I didn't put enough slippage. What people are doing to ape into these meme coins, since they're so volatile, is juicing up the slippage. And what Jared does is, let's say, for example, you have a slippage percentage of 5%. Jared is like, oh, these guys are willing to take a 5% slip, and Pepe is trading at 20 cents. I'm going to go ahead and buy Pepe at 20 cents, juice it, and buy a bunch of it. Increase or pump the price of it because there's such low liquidity on it. It's like $2 million or $3 million in liquidity for a total market cap of, I don't know, it's like $160 million market cap token. So it's going to be extremely volatile. He pumps up the price, and then he sells it to the guy who is buying it. So basically, he's juicing the gas fees to front run your transaction because he sees it in the mempool. It's not an actual guy doing this. It's a bot that's running, so it's able to go quicker than humans. But it basically, he buys before you, then he sells on you, and then he closes out. So that's why they call it a sandwich, because he's doing two transactions. One is before yours and one is after yours to basically profit the spread on you.
Exactly.
So he's buying it before to pump the price. He's selling it to you at a elevated price, and then he is selling it back on the market after you buy it and pump up the price again to profit the spread.
Yeah, so in other words, it's basically like a front-running bot, right? So like if you put in that same exact example you stated earlier, it was like 5% slippage. I'm going to be the front-running, sandwich bot and say, hey, I'm going to throw in 6% so I can get there first before you. And then as the price moves up, then that bot is actually essentially in profit already because they bought before you did, because they paid.
I know how to solve this. I'm going to make an MVV bot called Jake from State Farm, and I'm going to sandwich his sandwich.
You know what's funny? We should probably start making a token that is a meme of that, right? So it's instead of Jared from Subway, it can be Jared
from State Farm.
That token, right, could be the token of choice. It could be the future.
That's where it's at, dude. That is where it's at. But Jared, this dude, he's number 2 ranking on transactions within the past 24 hours, past 3 days, and third for the past 7 days. So of all the transactions on Ethereum, he's taking up, for the past 3 days, he's been 1.66% of all the transactions. So like, let's say, for example, you have $100 million in transaction fees running through Ethereum. He's paying out 1.6 million of that. It's crazy. Just him.
It's just nuts. And it's actually surprising because you sent over to me a link for this bot, right? And he only has around $80,000, which I thought that since this bot is actually trading a lot of data, a lot of transaction fees and trading the most transactions, sitting at number 2, I thought that he would have at least $1 million or $500,000. That would make more sense, unless he's making like these microtransactions, and maybe that's his angle. Maybe that's his game.
He's cashing out. So he cashes out to exchanges. Like just over time, if his bag gets too big, he cashes out. So like right now it's around 88K on his wallet address, but over time he just cashes out. That's all.
Understood.
But still, I'm making Jake from State Farm. That's my bot.
Sounds good. And also for the folks out there that are the new or newer, Drake, you mentioned MEV bot. Basically, that means it stands for miners extractable value, and what it is, it's just a front-running bot that essentially, front runs your transactions by paying it more gas and beats you to it, right? And then they would essentially pay some more slippage, and then they will pocket the slippage, and that's essentially it. So they're just literally taking a little bit of money, siphoning money from every single transaction that they front run, and then builds their ETH bag. It's
Yep.
it's amazing. It's amazing. It's
There's
it's
a way
actually
to there is a way to prevent it though. Use DEX aggregators and then make sure you adjust your slippage. And if you're trading up huge bags, just split it up. So like if you have like I don't know $20,000 bag of Pepe, just split it up into like $5,000 transactions, and just sell that way instead of just doing all in one. Because you would hate to be that guy who just gets massively sandwiched because you do a 10% slip because you're selling such a large bag. Just sell smaller bags. Sure, you'll pay like $40 in extra gas fees, but Jared's not going to take your money.
You sure about that?
I hope not. Instead, it's just going to be Jake from State Farm.
So yeah, I mean, we're sitting here, having these bots, would front run some of these, if you actually go into whenever you're making a swap or whatever it is, sometimes take a look at your hash, right? Your transaction hash. Sometimes your, these tokens that you're trading with, they're getting botted like crazy. You'll see MEV, transactions. You'll see, that type of
Just use a DEX aggregator. That's what
yeah.
I say.
Yeah, and it'll help. I mean, I did take a look at this as well over the past week, and it's funny we're talking about this, but I did find out too that MEV bots will sometimes attack other MEV bots and front run them. so,
Get
so
it,
it's not.
Jake.
It's yeah, Jake. but it's really interesting stuff, and yeah, I mean, I tend to see these guys on Uniswap, right, and like these bigger swaps than you said. Use aggregators. That's probably the best bet, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's yeah, these tokens, Pepe and Chad, they have zero utility from what they're just meme tokens. So buy them if you want to gamble. Consider these going to zero because they eventually will, unless Pepe is going to be strong enough to make it past that. Hell, they're going to be a crazy community. It's going to be nuts, and this token's just going to go to oblivion. But eventually, it's going to come back down to earth, and it always comes back down to zero for these meme tokens. Yeah. Any thoughts on there?
I mean, like you kind of said, well, actually, in regards to the meme coins, they're basically rugging us all. I think it was one of those things. Once we saw them pumping, it's probably best to not participate and just start selling and be ready to pick up some bags as it dumps off. Well, we'll see how it rolls. If we can hold these support lines, it'll be nice. Like I think the biggest thing to do is like while everyone is focusing on the meme coins, as long as BTC doesn't nuke and is able to find a floor, even though we have such low trading volume right now, is be able to pick up some of the blue chip assets and I wouldn't say BTC and ETH at lower prices. They haven't really dropped much, but some of the blue chip assets like different altcoins, and maybe get a quick sell on a relief rally. But if you're taking a long-term approach, you can look for some longer-term plays, even though they are more risky and not as proven as something like BTC and ETH. Still, I don't think we're in a bear market. I think the best thing we're going to have out of this is a eco bubble. So I believe we're still in somewhat of this bear market and not necessarily into the next bull run. I think this is going to play out similar to like 2017, 2018 timeframe, or maybe it was 2018, 2019, where we had that pump from 3K to 13K.
I remember that. Yeah, and it went right back down because of the COVID
Yep.
pandemic. And
then at the COVID pandemic, we dropped back all the way down to 3K, and then we had our actual bull run.
Yeah, and actually, that is coincidentally that dropped down to $3,000 to $4,000, which at that point in time, I said this last time, but I picked up a Bitcoin that time, and I was so happy I did that. But yeah, that dump created a nice, somewhat of a double bottom from the based on the charts, and that was literally the buying signal for a lot of folks. And you could have seen you had literally like a 1 to 3 hour window during this time to pick up a Bitcoin around 3,500 or 3,100, whatever exchange you were using. at that time, and it shot right back up to $6,000 to $7,000 literally the next day. But yeah, it was really super instant, and when people were fearful, you get greedy. Like, right, that's a typical mantra that everyone should kind of keep in their back of their minds, right? Like, there's a huge sell off. Take a little chunk and just start buying. See what happens, because it typically works out really well in crypto.
Yeah,
But
especially in a bull. Like in a bull market, you're gonna have it to where like right now it's just PvP, dude. There is no
Mhm.
additional liquidity coming in. Like if this was like an actual bull market, you would have these coins just going off and just killing it. Like it wouldn't matter. They would just keep going up and up and up. Like we're actually seeing like retraces, and we're actually seeing some altcoins after they pump just dump. You're seeing the rotator. Those are usually signs of like a weakening bull market. Like towards the end, like we saw with the rotation from Polygon to Avalanche, etc.
Mhm.
Or like the still just in a bear market. Like it's PvP. It's just capital rotation. The reason why it's PvP and like they consider it signs towards the end of the bull market when capital is rotating is because there's not new capital coming in. It's just people that were on Polygon rotating to Avalanche, and it's the same thing here. People on Arbitrum rotating to ZK Sync. People from ZK Sync, Arbitrum, and all these other chains rotating into these degen meme coins. And now people may be rotating out of meme coins into stables. Obviously, they aren't rotating back into Bitcoin because you can see the Bitcoin dominance it's still like 47.37. It's nothing crazy. I mean, we could break out from here and then we have that rotation, but I feel like people are just rotating into stables, cashing out, and maybe some random altcoins, but nothing's really in the green. Like every single chain is down except mainly Kava, Algorand. Algorand's not really up. It's just up from after its dump, but that's really it, man.
Mhm.
ZK Sync even started slowing down a bit. Yeah, it's only at 104 million. It was at 120 at its peak. It's just capital rotating. That's all it is, man.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's no volume, and folks are kind of getting bored at this point. And we did take a look at how the Dixie, which is the dollar index, um, is kind of making this little double bottom here, and that's a bullish signal for that. And I completely missed it. I didn't realize that this was going to be terrible for BTC. I thought that the dollar was kind of even retrace further, but maybe this is temporary. USDT dominance is sitting there, and it held this 6.44% dominance, and now it's above 7. So the next thing I look at is around 8.3% for USDT dominance. And a lot of folks are actually kind of fading the other stable tokens at this point in time. Drake, have you seen this? I think that a lot of folks are kind of getting they're selling off a little bit of they're trading in their USDCs over to and then trading it back into to Tether. They want to be holding Tether. So
Yeah.
um, it's really strange how they're rotating from stable token to stable token, and it's weird. But that's it. I guess they're having some um, you know more confidence in Tether.
Yeah, I mean, Tether it's basically the go-to for people is what it seems like. Me personally, I like the CDP tokens much better. But I mean, if you look at the stablecoin chart on Tether, it looks like printer is going burr on that. It actually had somewhat of a double bottom around 66 mil market cap, and now it's pumping again to 80 mil. The reason why you look at market caps on stablecoins is just assuming they're at a dollar, unlike USDC for a point in time. When you look at the market cap, it's you just divide the total circulating tokens by 1, and that's the total tokens you have. Like USDC, on the other hand, this thing is just trending down. it's it's not good. It's at 31 mil, and at its peak, it was at 54.
Yeah, the only shining light that I see at this point is that the 4 hour and everything below that is completely in oversold territory. So, well, there could be a slight little bounce. Maybe that's your exit point when it pumps back up again. But I don't know. I'm not into selling and trading this chop because I know where Bitcoin's going to go. I know where ETH is going to go. So, I just kind of have to scrounge up some money to buy up more when if it dips even further. So, that's my route the end of this, to the end of this year. I don't plan on putting more, in after this year. Maybe Q1. Maybe I'll spread it to Q1 of next year. But otherwise, this is my play. I'm just gonna buy these and hold at this point and trade a little bit of my portfolio back, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. Look for long-term plays is the best thing to do. Like, be careful chasing the meme pumps. I will say, Pepe, I do like Pepe. It gives me some vibes of like Goblin Town, to where those guys used to have the constant Twitter spaces, and they were basically just doing weird stuff on the spaces, which was kind of new for the NFT space. We hadn't really experienced that, and that's something similar to Pepe. You can kind of look at them like a merge of a strong NFT community, but built into a altcoin where we haven't seen that before. I think it might still continue to have a good run and do something. Am I buying here? No, not at all. I would say when that thing nukes like 90%, maybe throw like a moonbag, some coffee money, and if it does something, great. If not, whatever. Mainly because there's a lot of insiders that got in on that one. But I mean, you got to feel like they're going to eventually pump their bags. So I mean, that's why the risks or reward with just like some coffee money as a moon bag. Just after it dumps 90%, maybe it will do something. If it doesn't, whatever.
hmm Yeah, and this is one of the things where I kind of will do a sidebar. A lot of folks during this time could lose a lot of money because they are unsure of the timing of going in and out, and they made a mistake of the last bull cycle that they didn't sell anything and take profits, and so they're more cognizant of that fact, and that now they're saying, oh, but, I'm a little scared, blah blah blah. If they're newer to this crypto sector, then just literally buying and holding is literally it. Like that's why they coined the term in the past, hoddle, right? Like hold on for dear life. That literally is the key to winning this game for long term. Think long term, buy at the end of this year, and then you're going to prosper in the next couple. So that's the name of the game. That's how it should be played if you are new. But it's I just don't get too discouraged on the price action of where BTC is going on a day-to-day basis, because that can get you really really stressed out. And I've become a little bit of like the therapist sometimes with friends and family, because they're like, oh, I bought in last week during the pump and then this week it's down 20%. What do I do? And I said,
Let's
well,
go
it's
touch grass.
yeah, just go out and have fun. You don't you this is your life does not depend on your portfolio. Like that's the thing. And just wanted to make sure that you need to play what you can, and you need to have a set strategy, and buy at these lows, because who knows if it could go up in 20%, down 10% this week and then up 30% next week, because that's the name of the game. It happens. Um, but yeah, just wanted to talk about as well. Kind of moving on. There's a very very nice little Twitter post from Bitcoin Magazine yesterday, and obviously going back to Gary Ginsler and how he's the chairman of the SEC, having issues with, he was kind of getting questioned about his side of, well, what should be a security and what he's done in the past of being a chairman of the SEC, what he's going after crypto for, and he said some things in the past that was brought up from the 10 senators, and it was very interesting stuff. You've seen the clips, everyone's seen the clips on crypto Twitter, but and ultimately, TLDR on that is that the US is basically to the point where they are stunting the innovation of crypto and moving and forcing the folks that are here in the US moving it offshore. Now, that's not good for crypto, but crypto's going to survive. It's going to be fine. But the US
Is
is
it?
not harboring. I think so.
I'm kidding.
The US is not harboring a safe place and supporting the fact that this new technology that can be super beneficial to implement into our society, in our day-to-day things. It's just that we are in a tumultuous type of situation where the US is not favoring crypto at all. So the senators were actually asking that question over to Gary Gensler during this time, and putting him in a tough spot and saying, "Listen, like you're forcing all of this potential money, this potential profits, all the capital that's in crypto, you're pushing it offshores and letting other countries having this opportunity to become stronger with more money, more capital, and then the U.S. is pushing the innovation away from the U.S. And that's obviously not a good thing, right? So I think that was actually the biggest positive that I've seen. That all of the senators are asking this question to Gary Gensler, and Gary's like, crypto's, he's negative on it because he might have been. I mean, he had ties with FTX, right? He had ties with SBF.
He's just saving face, man. He doesn't want to say something to where it like hurts one thing. Like he like the less you say, it's like the better. The type of situation, because once you put out your stance, then people are like, oh, okay, that's what the deal is. That's what he's looking for, and basically it'll hold it against him. That's all he's doing. But I mean, the dude's I'm not going to say anything about him.
But the one thing I want to say about the Bitcoin magazine was that just because of that fact that I stated that yesterday, Bitcoin magazine tweeted that the Russian head of Congress, the finance committee, basically said some foreign partners are already ready to accept Bitcoin, and in also being used in international trade. Like that's completely crazy. That's amazing. That's super bullish for Bitcoin. That's super bullish for crypto and countries. We're not talking about entities. We're not talking about institutions. We're talking about countries. Like right. We knew that El Salvador, is already made Bitcoin as legal tender. I think Panama is already on that list as well. More will come, and now it's being potentially widely accepted for international trade. The writing's on the wall, guys. It's eventually going to explode. And if you have time, we all have time. There's years ahead of us. So buying Bitcoin today, no matter what the price is, it's going to be plus 6 figures. It's going to be, more than that. I want to say that number, but I know what it is, and it starts with an M.
yeah, short term, it's going to be toppy for sure. Like there's a dude on Twitter. His name's Andrew Kang. He's
Yep.
I'm looking at one of his wallets right now. I'll go ahead and put a screenshot through the video so you guys can see. But basically, this dude's short the market a couple milli. But basically, the dude's public. I mean, sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong. But I mean, the dude is basically just a public wallet that kind of plays around with a couple milli. But yeah, what minute is this? So I remember to put it on. This is min 30. Okay. So yeah, basically he's got a short on GMX, actually 2 shorts on GMX. Doesn't have anything on Quinta. He normally does on Quinta as well. But yeah, basically he just has some shorts open, 14x leverage, 13x, 14x. He's in some profits right now. One of the positions is up 350 mil or 350,000. Hasn't closed it yet, but we'll see what happens. But in general, there are still some plays that can be made in the markets. Like some of the different narratives that I'm looking at, regardless of if it's a PvP or if it's going into the next bull run. Some of these I like as long-term plays, but some of these are like shorter. One, for example, is like Arbitrum. There are a couple of tokens. You have ARB, of course, like the regular token. You have DOPEX. DOPEX is basically like a DeFi Mafia over on Arbitrum, and it's a options protocol with strategies. So instead of using something like a blanket or a blank template like Lyra Finance, where you have to make your own strategies, instead DOPEX can give you like different options and different strategies, to where if you wanted to do a straddle vault and stay hedged and basically profit in volatility, like let's say for example, I'm pretty sure the market is going to go up or down, but I just know it's going to be volatile. You can trade on that by opening an option like a straddle vault, to where if it goes in the green, like let's say ETH goes up 10%, you profit. ETH goes down 10%, you profit, because you open up a vault that profits based on volatility. Whereas if it's not volatile, you'll obviously be in the loss. But that's something like Dopex. Then, of course, you have GMX, Lyra Finance. Those are both derivative protocols, with Lyra being for options, LYRA, and GMX being for like perps. And then there are a couple that are coming up, like Chronos Fi. Most of you guys already know, like FXS and Frax Finance. Those are, in my opinion, long-term plays. Chronos is just going to be a VE33 DEX. We'll see how that rolls out. But that one's going to have concentrated, I'm sorry, not concentrated. It's going to have maturity LPs to where it's similar to GMX, where you get like boosts for having GMX staked for longer term, but it's going to be for LPs, to where the longer you stake, the higher rewards you get. So maybe it can create some sticky liquidity. But I'll just pop a screenshot so you guys can see. I just have this in my Discord. I'll share it with you too. I'll put it in the screenshot in the video, man, 32 or something. But basically, it's just a bunch of different coins that I'm looking at. These are on the different chains. Like another chain is, and also give the reason for it. Like Arbitrum, it's basically the DeFi hub. It's the prettiest pig in the pen. That's where everything's going on right now. Kava, it has the $750 million liquidity incentive as a bullish catalyst right now. They did just launch Torre Finance, but Mare Finance and Avara or Equilibre are basically the two that are the go-to on Kava. So if you're bullish Kava, you have to be bullish those two. And the catalyst for it is 750 mil. That creates a system to where it's not as PvP, because if you don't have new people coming in, it's okay. The dude who is losing money is Kava, because they're paying out cash for people to use the chain. Now, of course, they aren't really losing money, because they make money as people use their chain and people deploy on there. But that's just kind of helping with that situation. And of course, you see Optimism. You got Quinta, which is a perp DEX that's using the synthetics stack. So you can think of it like GMX, but just a interface that lays over synthetics. So it doesn't have the risk of like GLP with the liquidity being drained as traders are profitable. And then it also doesn't have as high of fees. Then you got Velo, which is on Velodrome, V33 DEX. It's basically the liquidity hub on Optimism. And then you got SNX, which is DeFi OG, bullish on them long term. They create good products. Bullish on Kang. He knows what he's doing. There's a lot. So I'll just leave that screenshot up there so you guys can see what it is. The last one I want to leave it on, though, is because I think this is at least going to be somewhat of a narrative because it's coming up in June, June/July, is the China narrative, which is going to be on Conflux or CFX. That's basically just an EVM chain. They do have EVM, and it's also a DAG. It has two chains. It's similar like Phantom. But there are three tokens on there that I really like. You got Nut, which is basically an LSD for CFX. You got ABC. This is also an LSD for CFX. And then you got Goal. Goal is basically like a Geist Finance on Conflux chain. There are other tokens like Swappy, which is basically just like Curve, a swapper, and I'm just not as bullish on it. It'll probably do something if liquidity comes in, but yeah. Oh, and then Metis, because Ave is coming over.
Yeah, when is that projected to come over there?
I think it's not.
I thought it was April.
Yeah, it's going to be either April, May. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that means a lot of liquidity is going to come over because Ave is probably the most trusted blue chip.
Yeah, I mean, you got Granary Finance over there, but no one's really using it. I mean, exactly. Granary is cool, but I mean, no one really uses it.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk about as well, Drake, I'm not sure if did you have more to say about that?
Dude, I can keep going. Like, there's a bunch I can explain on there, but it's like, I think I'm gonna stop now. It's too much information.
No, it's all good.
There's a bunch. Like, I put on at least 50, 60 coins on the screenshot. I can go into each and every one of them, but I mean, some of these they'll do well. Some won't do anything, and some may go to zero.
Or
But
are you
the
saying that you're holding more than 50 tokens right now in your portfolio?
I got a bunch. But I mean, in general, like the tokens that I'm holding, um, it's allocation based. So let's say the core holdings that I'm having are in a select few. Like obviously BTC. Well, I don't really hold a bunch of Bitcoin. I do hold some just in case. But the biggest holding I have is an ETH, and then obviously split between all these different altcoins. They're in different farming positions. Some of them actually grew to the size. So I take the Digidart approach, is what I call it, to where I select a bunch of different coins and I throw darts at them. And I say, okay, I got $40,000 to invest. I'm throwing $1,000 at each and every coin. And what will happen is either if the coin goes to zero, I lose everything on that. But if a coin does 100x, well, I only need one of them to pay for all the others, because and it'll be profitable. So if one coin does 100x and I pick 40 different coins throwing $1,000 at each, that one coin will turn $1,000 into $100,000. So if I just have one that pays for it, then it's great. And yes, it does happen. I don't know if it'll happen next bull cycle, but it was profitable and it was successful for me last bull run. One thing I didn't do correctly was position sizing. I wish I did position sizing a lot better. An example was like Harmony. Another example was Sand. Another example was Luna. So Luna, for example, at 50 cents, yeah, it was 50 cents. I threw, I don't know what, it was like $1,000 at it at the time. And that thing ended up mooning and going crazy. Obviously, like, yeah, Luna had the day of reckoning. It wasn't so great. But regardless, one thing was position sizing. The second is taking profits. So after you get that 100x or that 150x, whatever you want to call it, you have to take profits at some point in time. And yeah, I did take profits on Luna when it went to like $5, and then watch it ride up and proceed to go to what, 140, 150, whatever. But you just have to have a plan. Like going back to Harmony, a plan as well as a strategy. Well, whatever, the same thing. Like Harmony 1, that was probably one of the best performers. I would say Luna or Harmony was, no, actually Sand was really good. So Sand, I threw $100 at it and I bought it at 4 cents. So this thing ended up mooning to like $9. So what, 9 divided by 0.04? That's oh no, that's wrong. So yeah, I don't even know what that is. 0.0. So it's 25. Yeah, that's a 225x. So basically, it turned $100 into $22,000. If I position size that better and did equal allocations to where I threw $1,000 at Sand, $1,000 at Luna, $1,000 at this, $1,000 at that, instead of being selective on what I thought was like, okay, this is going to be high conviction play, this is going to do well. If I was less, what's the word? Discriminatory on it. Like I bought Luna for a completely different reason than what it was going to be. Same thing with Harmony 1. I bought some Harmony because it was supposed to be a payment system. I never thought about, Matic was another one too. I never thought about DeFi on those because DeFi wasn't like a thing back then. We didn't think about that. It was just like, hey, Harmony 1 is going to be a payment system over in India. Luna is going to be a payment system just so people can use it to transact. Chai payment app, or like the Stripe of crypto, was like the narrative for it. And it ended up being something completely different. It ended up being the most decentralized stablecoin, or the liquidity hub, or like Harmony 1 was like DeFi chain, GameFi chain, whatever you want to call it. We never even predicted that. And that's one thing I want to stress, is just because you have conviction on something or something you see now doesn't mean what it will be in the future. And that's what I'm trying to solve right now, for me at least, is figuring out how to position size these and what to allocate to them and what is the conviction on it and some other things and other convictions that can happen that I'm not predicting. Like, let me give you an example of a horrible trade that went terribly wrong. I can give you tons of examples. One of them was Vader. Like, this was like, oh, this is going to be the next Luna. It's going to be so much better. It's going to be a better decentralized stablecoin. So I threw a large position at it. I threw some of the wins I had from some of these other tokens that I had, and what ended up happening is it like went to zero. It was horrible. It went to zero within like a month, 2 months. I don't even know what it's trading at right now, but it's horrible. Like, you got to understand, if I just was disciplined, and instead of over betting on that because I had extreme high conviction, then it wouldn't have been such a large loss. However, if it ended up being a winner, then great. I would have been taken care of and accounted for that. And that's why I'm trying to figure out what is the correct position size to look for. Is it like, hey, I have extremely high conviction, I'm going to bet 25% more than I normally would. Or if I have no conviction on this, or not as much, but I think it's going to do something, maybe 25% less. That's the math formula I'm trying to look at, because I don't want to look at a position and say, I'm throwing $1,000 at this one because I think it's going to do well, and then I'll throw $100 at this one because I think it'll be all right, but maybe it does something. Like, that was with Harmony. That was with Sand. I never expected it to explode to what it did, but it did. So just kind of ranting at this point, but position sizing and playing the Digidarts and allocating to different tokens.
Yeah, I mean, going back to you said Harmony. My positioning sizing for getting onto Harmony and then basically buying into DeFi kingdoms. I'm gonna be transparent. I threw in 30,000 as soon as it was around like $2.50.
Nice.
And I was very happy with my selling at because I bought 2 Gen Zeros at that point as well. And I just kind of saw the writing on the wall. As soon as they started to make really, really bad decisions, and I'm sorry to kind of bash on the team, it's just that's the reality, right? Like, you base your decisions, you base your investments based on the team and how they want to kind of go the route of this or route of that, and the decisions that they made and how they addressed certain things. And I don't want to go too deep into it. That was my trigger to sell, and that was around like the $19 dollars range, and I liquidated everything, and I was very, very happy with it. But like, I loved it. I loved DFK. I loved how it looked. I loved the the tokenomics and all that, and the lockup periods, and that was all cool stuff. And the community was crazy. Drake, that's where I met you. And
I remember that, dude. I ended up marrying those bags. I mean, I sold some, but still, I would have been much better if I took some off the table on it. But you live and learn, man.
Yeah, exactly. So like, if you have high conviction in certain things, go for it. But like, also kind of keep your finger on the pulse of other projects as well, and be realistic about when you're sitting in the Discord, sitting in those conference calls, kind of really ask yourself every time that they make a decision. Ask yourself this: what does this boil? What does this boil down to? Like, is it a good decision or a bad decision? If is it kind of a gray area? And just you determine it off of that. Is it going to rock the market? Is it going to make the investors happy, the token holders happy? That's really what it is. And so, I that was a crazy time, because think about it too, Drake. And I don't know if you kind of sit back and think about this as well, but being that this is only 3 years old, aka DeFi, the next time around where it's going to be DeFi summer again, whenever that is going to be, DeFi year, DeFi autumn, DeFi spring, I don't know. But whenever that's going to happen, I really think, this is my take on it, but I think that the days of DeFi where it goes, 10, 20, 30, 50, 20, 100x, they might be over, because I think the investors are getting a little bit more savvy, and that they know, they're going to be taking, if they expect 50x and they received 50x on their previous, DeFi experience, this time around, they're going to take profits at that 15x or that 20x or that 10x.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have the astronomical gains like we had,
Mhm.
or whatever you want to call it. I think we'll have something similar to on some tokens, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I think a lot of folks that are kind of who've been through this already, they're going to be a little bit more savvy. They're going to be smarter this time around. I made mistakes in the past. You've made mistakes in the past, and we are savvier than we were. We grew up, right? We graduated from that DeFi experience, and it was a fun time. Don't get me wrong. It was a fun time. It was awesome. Money was sloshing here, sloshing there. Everything was going up like
I'm
crazy.
sober up, boys.
So, and it's really awesome to see that you Drake and the other guys on crypto Twitter, they're all getting. You guys are getting to this ETH challenge, and that chart that I like to see, like the summary chart, and seeing who's competing to who, how who's performing against who, and who's doing the top, who's top performers, who's the bottom performer. It doesn't matter. It's awesome to see that you guys are all like moving in the general direction, and that's up and to the right. Gradually and slowly, it's getting there. It's awesome. So, I kind of peek at your stack versus Lewis's stack, and just kind of seeing like what your convictions are, how you guys do things, and which tokens are you guys investing in based on what. And it's awesome to see. I really enjoy watching that.
Yeah, Lord willing, it can be profitable. We'll see how it rolls. Lewis is doing well. I don't know how he's doing now. It's been a while, but I remember in the very beginning he had a nice pump from two of the coins or one of the plays that he had. But it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. It's hard to beat BTC and ETH because you kind of look back after you do all like the poop coins and degen alts. You kind of look back and you're like, man, I should have just bought ETH. Like at the end of the day, you go back and look at the start of the bull run to the end of the bull run and seeing what your stacks are now. You just look and you're like, if I just threw all that into ETH, it would have been that much easier, less stress, and you don't have to do any research. You just throw it at it. But it's fun though. It's fun.
Yeah, don't look back in anger, right? Only look forward to see, what you can do. Only look back by just, studying your previous moves and making it better.
Yeah.
But I do want to kind of touch upon Arthur Hayes for a brief moment here.
Okay.
So Arthur Hayes, those of you who don't know who he is, he's he's an American entrepreneur. He's a co-founder and former CEO of the cryptocurrency exchange BitMEX. And he's the one that got into this early, BTC in general and ETH and all that. And I mean, he's his net worth right now, and I believe it's on chain. His net worth is right around 500 million. Insane money. So he bought GMX at $17, which is GMX is at $73 at this point. And you can obviously track his portfolio, on DBank. And Drake, I'll share this with you so you can kind of post it on the chat. And so, if you pull up his portfolio on DBank, he mainly has high conviction on like 4, maybe 5 tokens, right? And it's ETH, it's Pendle, it's ARB, and it's
That's why
Bond.
Pendle is pumping. I remember Pendle. I like Pendle.
Yeah, you said
I bought a bag around 8 cents and I sold too early.
Oh
like,
my
whatever.
gosh.
I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
I sold. What am I doing?
So his bags, he's only holding like 5 tokens. And so GMX is his biggest position. So let me talk about this really quick with his DeFi plays. And so what he has is that he supplied GMX around $15.7 million. He staked escrowed GMX, and that's around $1 million. So that's 2 DeFi plays. And so let's talk about his payouts. His APR is at 4.32% at a minimum. So with that money added, the DeFi play is outputting this, right? He's getting a $700K in a year. So that's $58,000 around a month. And every single day he's making $1.9 thousand. And it's all paid back in ETH. So
Yeah, from GMX.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
I mean it's good. It's good. Stairs on the way up as long as that thing doesn't. GMX does good in a bear market. I don't know in a bull market though. We'll see how it rolls. But bear markets, it does extremely well. Why? Because traders tend to overtrade and lose a lot of money. The only thing I love GMX. Like I have a nice stack of GMX and I have some GLP. The only thing that I look at is like the time when the traders are extremely profitable, because when BTC is mooning and liquidity is coming in at that point in time, it doesn't matter if everything is just pumping. There could be a chance that liquidity drains. But then again, even though people are way in the green, they tend to still not take profits. So it's kind of like it'll probably do the same in a bull market. GMX is one of those guys. It's like a long-term play for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really really crazy strong. But yeah, that's that. If you wanted to follow his moves, follow the whales. Yeah, you mentioned that you have over 50 or 70, 100 tokens in your portfolio. I can't keep track of that. I used to have over 20, and it gave me stress. I can't do that. So what works with you doesn't work with me. What works with me doesn't work with you guys. So you got to find your niche. You find your portfolio and find your plays and just master it, right? And so for me, I only have less than, my goal is to have anything less than 10 tokens so I can actually keep track of and also keep my finger on the pulse of the wider, broader markets. Obviously, I don't, I'm a profit maxi. I'm not more so of like an ecosystem maxi, more, per se, but generally like to research other things. So potentially I can kind of throw a bag at that, and but yeah, that's where I'm at, and that's how I'm playing it. I can't
Yeah.
imagine having more than 50, 60, 100 tokens. That just boggles my mind. Your organizational skills is just
Oh,
far outweighs mine.
it's not organizational skills. It's just spray pray, see what happens, and then in a bull, if it's way in the green, take some profits on it. It worked last bull market, man. It
It
worked
did.
really well for me. Like it basically overall with the portfolio, if I did take profits on everything, like 100% cash out, it would have 10x the portfolio
Hmm.
within less than a year. Actually, no, it would probably be like a 15x. As long as I was cashing out and doing that. But obviously, only cashed out a little bit and bag held a lot of the tokens. Good news is though, I sold some into ETH and picked some tokens that were longer term plays, and actually I feel will actually survive the bull run or to the next bull run, like SNX, Frax, ETH, obviously. Thor, I think Thorchain will do something eventually, but Rune was one of those. Like there's a handful of them that were actually sustainable long term plays
I'm
that I think will
considering,
actually do something.
ever since you talked about Frax, and I just been doing some research on the side with it. Man, Frax is strong. Frax is very 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 strong.
It's basically the DeFi Mafia, dude. You
Yeah,
know what they say?
tell me.
Don't mess with the mafia.
Okay. Yes, I knew that was coming, but I just had to ask.
Yeah, you never mess with those guys. I mean, they will they will rip you a new one.
Yeah, I have two more topics. Right. I have Matic on-chain activity. This is just kind of briefly touching upon Polygon. I don't really mess with Polygon as I did earlier with when it was DeFi in 2020 and but
Iron Finance.
Iron Finance, it was an awesome rug. But yeah, Matic on-chain activity over the last 3 months reveals that the bulk of gas consumed in the result of a growing demand DeFi-related applications. Question mark, right? It went from 23% in January to over 50% right now. Um, and it breaks down like there's a chart that I'll send to you, Drake. It breaks down DeFi, gaming, and then NFT apps, and then there's like social, which I don't know what social is in DeFi. Otherwise, DeFi is actually there's a growing chart that goes up based on DeFi. The transaction is based on DeFi. That's actually pretty cool. Is there a revival with the Polygon ecosystem? Question mark. Who knows? So kind of keep your. I mean, I I have my opinions on Polygon. I think I said it in the past. I'm not so bullish on the ecosystem for DeFi,
Neither am I. Not at
but
all. I'm
but
bullish their biz dev team.
yeah. I mean, I am bullish on their partnerships, right? But I don't know. I mean, there's actually a post that was out last week, and they were talking about that we saw huge inflows of like $7 to $8 million of stables going back into Polygon, and people were
Cool story.
all in the comments was, you know what they said? It was all about the Trump NFTs, right? And this is a nice segue to go into NFTs. But think about that. Like a lot of folks who had the original Trump NFTs, and there's a lot of, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but those Trump NFTs went from like 0.05 min price all the way up to like 0.8 or 0.75 ETH, and it cratered because I think it's down to like 0.1, to be honest. The
Yeah, there's
original,
nothing over there, man.
there's
There's
nothing over
nothing
there.
there.
So
I mean, they had
that,
Satin Exchange, and that was a flop.
yeah,
I'm glad I didn't play that.
yeah, but their partnerships are strong, but I just also see that there's red flags with the actual team. We did see a huge layoff of their employees at Polygon, and that was probably a month and a half to 2 months ago. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's the it's Polygon for you. So I don't know. I'm not a holder of Polygon at this time, but if they continuously make these strong partnerships down the line, maybe there could be some type of revival of it. And that's it.
Yeah, I see Polygon being propped up by the biz dev, and then I see something like Phantom propped up by the community. I'm a community guy. I like Phantom.
Phantom's awesome. I agree. So yeah, NFTs really quick. Obviously, you guys have known that if you guys take note in the past week and a half, every single blue chip, every single collection has taken a huge thrashing.
Potatoes.
Potatoes, I don't think so. They're an anomaly. They stick out. They're the outlier here. So
Dude, I
potatoes has
love
gone up.
potatoes.
Captains, which is associated and affiliated with potatoes, they have been around sitting in the 7.5, which is actually still around the
I
price.
just give it some time. They'll go to 0 too eventually.
That is financial advice. Yeah, Bored Apes, the base Cs are the floors at 47, which they were floating around the 65 to 70 range. A few months ago. We have CryptoPunks sitting at 48 ETH floor. We have Mutant Apes sitting at 10. Like that's wild to me. Azuki's actually held their value. So
The
there Azuki,
Zukis are cool. I got to get into Zuki.
if you're willing to pay for 14.5 ETH for
Oh
an
no, dude,
Azuki,
I'm not.
you
No
can buy me.
thanks.
You can buy me one as well if you want to. If you're throwing around money.
Yeah, if they
um,
got a BOGO sale going on, I'll get you one.
Nice, nice. And then so we did talk about these the V1s CryptoPunks. So two things. One is a good thing. It surpassed a nice little unique owners. I think there's 1,000 unique owners for this collection. So that's a nice little milestone that happened overnight. And then we are sitting. I think it's around 3.8, 3.9 is the current floor for this, and this is based on OpenSea. So you said if it was anywhere like hit you up if the V1s ever get into the threes, this is it.
I'm tempted to sell my tater for it.
Oh, really?
I like 9gag, man. 9gag, he sold me hard a couple months ago. I'm glad I bought one, but still, geez, I should have got more. Some other NFTs that are actually pretty cool. There's one over on ZK, yeah, ZK Sync. It's called ZK Amurai. It's with Crypto Lynn. She's on Twitter, or he. I don't know. It's Anon. I'm pretty sure it's a girl, but I don't know. It's probably a guy. Probably a guy, girl. I don't know, but some random just PFPs that are correlated with her. They're kind of like anime style. I'll drop you a link so you can see it. Yeah, I'll just put a link in the description below so you guys can check it out. But basically, these minted for less than half an ETH, or I'm sorry, 0.05. Wait, 0.005. So less than 0.01 ETH. And right now, their floor price within less than a week, it's trading at 0.2 ETH. Its peak was like 0.32. But yeah, these things are pretty cool. They seem to be holding up pretty well, and they're behind Crypto Lynn. Crypto Lynn is just a degen on Twitter, has like 30K followers. And then you also had the mint last night of Killicubs. Those are holding literally at floor price right now. But these are from the Killer Bears guy, or Killer Bears guys, whatever you want to call
It's
them.
a bullish community.
Yeah,
They have a strong
I've heard
community.
good things about them.
Yeah, so one thing too to note about the NFT space, and then I have one more topic I really wanted to talk about. So the NFT overall market overview, we've seen a lot of like the number of purchases and sales of NFTs on the major exchanges reach its lowest in the last 3 months, and it continues to decline. So that's why you're seeing
Potatoes.
that's why you're seeing a lot of these like Bluechips and a lot of these other collections just on sale. Everyone's selling. I don't know why. They're scared, or they just kind of the
Oh
liquidity
man,
dried
go
up,
away,
or
man.
huh?
Sell in May and go away.
Yeah, that's what looks like it's
Happened the
happening.
past 2 years.
But yeah, we generally see NFTs just kind of lingering around until there's a bull cycle again. So I'm in the holding period. I am not selling my V1s. And I'm not selling my Yuga assets. I actually plan on adding more Yuga assets because there's bullish catalysts that are coming up in the next few weeks. But yeah, that's where I'm at with NFTs. But there's one more thing about the about I want to talk about before we kind of sign off is it's the Solana mobile, right? The Solana Saga mobile phone. So what the Solana Saga mobile phone is that it's a mobile, it's a Web3 phone that actually it kind of mimics like the Google Pixel if you're an Android person, but they actually have it's all geared to Web3. It's all they have certain apps that's on there. It's made by Solana. It's distributed by Solana. It's called the Saga, and what I mean, it's cool to have that, and you can view your NFTs on there. You can have like there's an actual app on there that you could do like a seed vault, which I don't know if it's actually a good thing to put your seed
I
phrases
don't
on here.
trust Solana, man. I don't like Solana.
But here's my take on this. I did like them before, right? There was Solana Summer that was amazing, profitable for me, but I think that this might be bullish, right? Like there's a little tiny little conviction and a little bit of a thesis here. I think that if this saga comes out to be very, like successful, and I think a lot of folks are really liking this setup. If the Solana Saga mobile phone goes crazy and it actually takes off, I believe next month this time. I think it's April. Was it March the 18th is when it actually goes live, and I actually have this. I have a bell ticker on there waiting for the announcement to happen because I don't know I might pick one up. I'm not sure and just leave it in a box because this is the very first Web3 mobile phone that's going to be available, right? And I'm just saying, what if it takes off? And if Solana's been beaten down since the whole FTX thing, right? Because FTX held a huge bag, and they, Alameda Research, they bought a bunch of these tokens within the Solana ecosystem, and they just pumped and dumped everything. But since FTX is kind of out of the way now, my thesis on this is that I think that if Solana mobile phone goes off and people are going to be using it and they're going to be, using this as the Web3 mobile wallet of choice, and it takes off and they have new dApps that are going to be available on there, that's going to be kind of really cool to use. Hey, NFTs are going crazy over there. Transactions are still at a nice little high. Like their volumes over there in Solana is still going off. Considering the fact that they only have around 250 million TVL in this ecosystem, if they survive this bear cycle and then this mobile phone goes off, Solana might be an awesome play. Like it might rise from the ashes. I don't know. I mean, still they're at $20, whatever the token price is. But what if? I'm just saying that keep that in the back of your mind. Solana might be an awesome play down the line. If this phone takes off and if it goes, if these folks that are trading these NFTs back and forth and the DeFi is actually not there. It's not really that great. But
Yeah, Sam rugged the chain basically.
He did. But I really enjoyed using it. Right? It's even though yes, there's like times where the centralized, it's more like a centralized exchange, right? An exchange, but a centralized ecosystem because they can turn off anytime they want to and reboot the chain. This and that. It's not decentralized. But I'm just saying, it's not that you can make money. You can possibly make money here. And the previous all time high for Solana was around $250, $280 per token. So if it survives and it goes back up to that, that all time high, the previous all time high, that's a lot of money.
I mean,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know if it can do that again because that was a lot of leverage. I mean, we'll see what will happen. Me personally, I think there's better plays to make in the market. But yeah,
Yeah,
I can agree there might be some sort of summer or vibe for Solana, just like that. Hey, look, it was at this. Maybe it'll do this type of thing. But
yeah.
it's like one of those things you look back and you're like, was I just better off just buying ETH type of moment to where it's like, was I just better off buying the latest, greatest altcoin?
Yeah.
But obviously, time will tell. We'll see what will happen. I will say one thing though: the best performing asset this year, it's got to be Hershey.
Hershey.
It's a stock. It's a stock, man. I remember looking at it, man, and I was this was a couple months ago, and I was like, chocolate's going to be a big industry, man. It's going to be good. It's booming, man. It's all-time highs.
Chocolate.
In a sea of red, it's an all-time high. Doesn't matter. Stock market, crypto, whatever. It's chocolate. It's all-time high, dude.
Is it? You think it's because of the folks that are sitting at home, like remote, and they're just sitting around eating chocolate as they work from home?
I mean, dude, just think about it. Hershey is up only, man. When you're sad, you eat chocolate. When you're happy, you eat chocolate. When you
Oh
don't
man.
care, you eat chocolate.
And I think that's probably going to end our episode. Make sure you guys eat chocolate. Have your daily dose of chocolate. Be happy. Be merry. Be careful out there in the markets. And yeah, just to let us know what you guys think of this episode. And like, comment, subscribe, everything. All right. Drake, hit him.
Wisdom one-liner. Proverbs chapter 10, verses 14. The wise store up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool invites ruin. Be good, be righteous, man. Be wise.
Trying to.
That's how it
All
rolls.
right. Appreciate it. Thanks, man. Thanks for listening in. Talk to you soon.
See you guys.